Welcome to the In Shape Fitness Show. I'm Coach Kim, and today's podcast is about not beating yourself up. It is the holiday time, so I'm going to talk a little bit today about the anxiety that you probably feel, and a lot of people feel anxiety over the holidays just in terms of having to be around family and having to buy presents and do all this sort of celebratory stuff around the holidays. But we also tend to feel a little bit anxious, sometimes a lot anxious about the calibration of things like how much food should you eat versus how many times should you go to the gym? Can you enjoy yourself and be good and get through the holidays without completely going crazy? So we're going to talk about anxiety and workouts in the holidays. I also can't just not talk about the fact that Klaus Obermeyer is turning 100 years old. And I'm going to talk about that today because it's nearing ski season. Actually, if you live in the West, you probably in Colorado and Utah, you're probably already skiing. In the East, in the Berkshires and Poconos and stuff, the folks are still kind of gearing up. I guess the ski season is technically open, but there's not a ton of snow typically until the first of the year, though I think we'll try to go skiing this coming for the holidays. And it's one of my favorite activities in the winter. It's one of the activities that my daughter really loves a lot. And it's the only activity that we can get my husband to do with any level of interest, any actual motivation. So I want to talk about Klaus Obermeyer because he is turning 100. And he is, of course, the founder of a company called Obermeyer, and it is a ski equipment and clothing company. And I'm not going to talk about that. I never promote brands or whatever, but his age, the fact that he's still skiing, and a little bit about the process of of aging, but also still being active as you get older, is going to be the second half of the workout or of the podcast. But let's start with general don't beat yourself up concepts in terms of the workout itself, because I had lunch with an old client, new and friend that I don't see very much anymore because she doesn't live in this country. She and I were talking about different modalities, different types of exercise regimens, especially the fad ones. And by the fad ones, I mean things like, sorry if you love these different programs. That's not like they're bad, but if you are, really, really into your Peloton or your Soul Cycle class or your Barry's Boot Camp and some of the bar classes. There used to be something in New York called Physique 57. It is actually still around, but it's a little less popular. And Exhale, some of the, kind of fatty types of stuff that are really, really intense workouts, then you may have a sense of this, but it is often the case, and I guess one of the things that I do in terms of distance running, there's a tendency for you to do it during this type of training as well, which is to simply overdo it, to push yourself so hard that you are so exhausted and you're almost breaking down your body as opposed to building it up. And this person, that my old client and my friend, was talking about how after years of trying to stay thin and to be fit in conjunction with having a busy corporate successful life, like a really, really successful existence, and in climbing the career ladder. She's a woman, so she's dealing with woman stuff in corporations, and that's a whole separate issue. But being part of a really big company and the influence and participation that she is afforded through this incredibly hard work that she's committed to at this company is really, really great and positive. She's well paid, she's healthy, she's newly married, and in by all walks, by all terms, is successful. But inside, she's like beating herself up to try and stay fit. Now, why? No, and I don't just mean like eating very little and going to lots of workouts. I mean, like going to workouts and like just pushing yourself until you're exhausted, and then sort of feeling kind of I hearken to use the word addicted, but it is kind of an addiction. It is a connection that you make to the good feeling that you get by burning so many calories, and then the outcome measurement of your success through dedicating your time to these heavy duty workouts. But over the course of a couple of years, as she was explaining to me, and as I have observed through my time in this business, which is about 12 years now, the notion of really, really intensive workouts, HIIT workouts, and some of the ones that I already mentioned, really intensive military style boot camp type of activities, multiple times a week, can burn you out and is hard on your body. And it isn't necessarily providing you with a sustainable health, like physical life. You're still, for most people, especially people that are corporate bound, they're successful, career professionals. They're often spending a couple of hours per week in these heavy duty exercise sessions, but then so much of the rest of their waking time is spent seated, eating poorly, and not moving around nearly enough and in a multifaceted way enough to actually maintain an optimal level of health. So giving yourself a break, not beating yourself up too much in terms of this time of the year is a nice way to close out the year. And by that, I mean, look, we've got 3 weeks essentially left of December. And then, like it or not, there's going to be a push in January, as there always is, to get back to work. And so if I could make a recommendation based on my experience, if you are listening to this and you're thinking about the fact that, I beat myself up a lot. I go to these really intense workouts and they're cool and I'm sweating my ass off and I walk out with endorphins, but I'm exhausted. But I make myself do it because that's the way I've wired my brain. You do it, so you do it. And maybe December is the month to kind of give that a little bit of a break. Maybe this is the time where you take it down a notch and maybe enjoy some slightly lighter workouts, get kind of acclimated to the idea of exercising to an aerobic level, moving the body to a level where you start to feel your heart rate elevate, but maybe not so much to that panting, hard to have a conversation level. I use that, the difference, and it's important for you to test where that arrives for you, for your own body, right? Because everybody is slightly different. So your aerobic capacity, and and I'm talking mostly about aerobic capacity and about sustaining exercise periods that are difficult because they're comprehensive, because you're working multiple muscle groups. Potentially, if like you're in a boot camp class, you might be, hauling medicine balls and pulling on ropes and doing various things that are intense for your musculature, plus keeping your heart rate up really, really high. So if you don't kind of know what your boundaries are, if you don't know what your capacity is, then go to the bottom of a stairwell, and you need to have a couple of flights worth of the test. Technically speaking, you should easily be able to climb a flight of stairs, a regular standard flight of stairs, without elevating your heart rate. Can you climb 2 flights of stairs without elevating your heart rate? It's pretty simple, right? If you feel your heart rate elevating after 2 flights of stairs, then you're not you're climbing, and so your heart rate should elevate, but you might need to think about the significance of that trigger. And if you are to go up a third flight of stairs, could you carry a conversation? And I don't mean run up the stairs. I just mean walk, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, and trying to regulate your body's ability to tackle the task of walking somewhere between 2 and 3 flights of stairs. Now, I don't know anyone that can head up that third flight of stairs and not feel their heart rate start to elevate. But if you are unable to continue after that point and be able to carry on a conversation, then you definitely have some aerobic capacity limits, I shall say. And so if that's the case, and you're doing these boot camp workouts, you're doing these really intensive types of exercise regimens in order to maintain your weight, to maintain your physique, to look good in a little black dress on New Year's Eve, whatever, all decent reasons to exercise, but it is probably the case that you could use a bit of a break. And I would suggest that in the next couple of weeks, it is a good time for you to maybe find a spot on the living room floor and take it down a couple of notches. Instead of boot camp style mountain climbers, for example, maybe you're in a downward dog and upward dog, doing some dynamic movements between downward and upward dog, some simple push-ups, those slow moving and aerobic, but not quite as high intensity, high octane aerobic level exercises that you might be, as I said before, it's sort of addicted to. So that's that. What was I going to talk about first? I forgot what I was going to talk about first. Let me talk about Mr. Obermeyer while I'm remembering what my first topic was. I've been sort of yammering on here about not beating yourself up. Oh, and then the last thing, of course, is just about the holidays and in terms of your managing the way that you navigate the whole sort of holiday culture. But I'm going to go to Mr. Obermeyer as I said, because I, as you know, by listening to my podcast over the years, I've talked so many times about my client, my 91-year-old client that I see I've been working with for about 10 years. And he is not someone that I try to convince to get out and go for a jog. In fact, he really doesn't walk very well. He has an actual a congenital ankle issue, and so getting around is not easy for him, but he does continue to exercise several times a week, and working out with him is one of the most eye-opening experiences for me, just in terms of the way that the body begins to the way the body continues to function, first of all, of course, as you get older, and then how much you can continue to do if you are mindful about the way that you approach overall health. And that's where other components of your life, non-exercise components of your life, are really, really important. But I try to stay out of them. I'm gonna go back to them in a minute. But in any case, your ability to execute sit-ups, for example, we have this running joke, this gentleman, this client and I, about whether he can do a pretzel crunch, where you cross one leg over and then you sit up and bring your elbow to your knee, the crossed over opposite knee, and we just have so many laughs, celebrate laughs over how he can't really do that anymore because he doesn't sit up quite as well. His tummy muscles are just not that strong. However, he manages to get his elbow over to his knee somehow anyways. Now, Mr. Obermeyer, who lives, a very luxurious world, I would imagine, I don't know, but I haven't studied his personal life all that much, but he came to the United States at the end of World War II, escaping from Germany, and ended up settling in Colorado, and was already a skier, of course. He ended up starting this company, Obermeyer company, and he, he proceeded to live his life in the United States and run this company, and is basically a celebrity in Aspen, and he is turning 100 years old. 100. It's amazing to me. But what's also amazing to me is that I would never have known this. I don't pay attention, but there are some articles about how he skis every day, even though he is 100 years old. Literally, he goes out every single day, and obviously in the winter, the summertime, I'm sure he's not skiing, but he does say, and this is something that I have found is mirrored in a lot of the older clients that I have seen over the years, is that exercise shouldn't be that hard, like on you. I mean, we do things that are hard on us. We test our boundaries in terms of our capabilities. So if you want to learn how to ski and you want to be able to tackle a mountain, you go out and you do it. If you want to run a marathon, you plot your points on a calendar, figure out what the training program is, and adapt your life to it, and then you just go do it. You can push yourself and be hard on yourself, but also be good to yourself, to your body, at the same time. Exercise should not be so tough. Like the workout, like the gym, it's no fun. I mean, it is because the outcomes are there, but what's fun about going into some sanitary looking place and picking up some weights and pushing them over your head and pulling them down and pushing them up and pulling them down? Unless there is something behind it, unless there is a reason for you to do that. What is the point of doing a sit-up? There is a point of doing the sit-up, and that is that you have the ability to control your trunk, the ability to maintain posture, the ability to prevent excess, now I'm saying crunch, but I also could easily substitute the word plank in there because, basically these are the same. The goal is basically the same thing, which is to keep your trunk strong, your tummy muscles and back muscles strong. There is a functional purpose that is propagated from or precipitates from an exercise that you might do in your floor, in your living room. What you're not going to necessarily benefit from is picking up these really heavy weights and lifting them over your head. Or, I suppose if you are in some sort of manual, doing something in some sort of manual capacity, farming or maybe gardening or maybe carpentry, building a house, doing those kinds of things, then there are real legitimate reasons to foster strength development in your body. But for the most part, what we all aspire to do is to be alive and to be pain-free and hopefully to enjoy ourselves a little bit. And so I was fascinated by the Obermeyer news and this story about his experiences in terms of continuing to ski at an age when most people don't even walk. So this guy's out there skiing, and most people, by the time they reach their 70s or their 80s, they're slowing down. Certainly by their 90s, many people are not walking around freely and enjoying a great deal of outdoor exercise time. Mr. Obermeyer contends that every single day a person should go outside, regardless of the weather, spend an hour moving around. And that essentially has been his philosophy in terms of his health throughout his life. And then to enjoy, enjoy yourself, and to not be so anxiety ridden about the whole thing, which also kind of closes the loop here in terms of that last point about the components of the holiday season that make it really, really challenging for most people to, will experience some level of frustration over how to fit different, like all these different things in these last few weeks of our year that for a lot of people are extremely busy in terms of consumer-driven activities related to Christmas or Hanukkah or some other holiday that you celebrate, the New Year, parties, corporate parties, family parties and gatherings, big dinners. I went to a big dinner last night. In fact, this was a kind of a funny story. I was, I'm a coach for the Roadrunners Club, the Team for Kids charity part of the New York City Roadrunners, which is the organization that hosts and operates the New York City Marathon every year. So I've coached thousands of marathon runners over the last 9 years, and I love this group of people. And we, after the marathon, sometime towards the end of the month of November, early December, we all get together and go to dinner to celebrate. And last night was that dinner. And it's always at the same, for the last few years, it's been at the same Italian restaurant. And they're so good to us, this Italian restaurant that is close to the New York City, to the Roadrunners Club office. And so wine is flowing, which is, lovely, and appetizers are coming out to our table, and we get some pizzas, and then we order entrees. And then I knew that they were going to serve us a bunch of desserts because they always bring out their cannolis and they bring out, Italian cookies and things like that. But I was so unprepared for the amount of dessert plating that was going on at this table last night. There must have been 10 different desserts. And there were probably only, 12 or 13 of us. And there were a lot of people that were definitely not interested in having a ton of food after a big meal. They were, we're all kind of full. And several people had a lot to drink. But I can only have like a glass of wine, and then my head doesn't function anymore. So I only drink like a glass of wine at dinners. But I was so excited to eat all of this great sweet food from Italy. So tartufo and panettone, I think is the name of that bread. Their marzipan bread. And then there was banana cream pie and a lemon cake and chocolate mousse and tiramisu, of course, the cannolis, some cookies and chocolate dipped strawberries. It was insane. And I ate almost all of it. I mean, I just walked out of there knowing that I wasn't going to get sick. Like, I have this steel of stomach, a stomach made of steel. So my tummy wasn't upset, but I did eat way too much sugar, and I feel like my body was in monster, sort of triage mode to circulate all of the sugar out of my system by today, which I'm sure it hasn't done yet. Maybe that's still happening on the inside of my body right now. But we're all dealing with some of this. And the other thing that happens, of course, is that because we're so busy in terms of the schedule, the demands, that you end up not being able to get to whatever your workouts are as often as you like. So the last thing that I want to impress upon you is to go to the other podcast channel. We do 2 podcasts. I have 2 sort of streams. One is the In Shape Fitness Show. The other we call AMuscle Maintenance, which is where every week I just do a podcast workout. And the podcast workout that, what did I do this week? I can't remember. We were working on balance this week, or just some components of really simple interaction with gravity type of work. And that goes to that test with the stairwell that I was talking about earlier, being able to lower and rise in terms of like a squat, in terms of a burpee or a walkout push-up. Those are activities that are going to trigger your aerobic capacity. They're going to boost your heart rate and thus your metabolism, because you're interacting with a natural physical force. The natural resistance of gravity is equipment-based fitness. So it's not fair to say that you need to go into a gym, that you need a medicine ball, that you need to push up against some weight in order for you to get in a good workout. I mean, it just you have enough. Your body is your own physical fitness center. You just have to take the time to educate yourself in terms of what moves do what things, and in terms of how to program something that is suitable for the ability level and your goals. So finding a spot for yourself in the middle of your floor and spending 20 minutes, these podcast workouts at AMuscle Maintenance are normally somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. Sometimes they're a little bit longer, but part of it might be that I'm just talking a little bit longer. The workouts themselves are typically no more than 6 or 7 different exercises, and typically pretty focused around a particular topic. So when you're dealing with the stress of the holidays, and you've already decided that you're going to give yourself a little bit of a break, you're not going to beat yourself up quite so much. One of the ways to make health still exist in your life during the busy time of the year is to just go and listen to a couple of these, listen to a podcast in the morning. Allow yourself 15 to 20 minutes before you head out to whatever activity is first thing on your list. And I do them in my pajamas every day. I literally start my day in front of my fireplace in Manhattan. I have a fireplace, but it doesn't work. So it just looks cute. And I start my day with a short routine that I just do because I've done basically the same thing for the last 5 years, every single day, or almost every single day. But these podcasts are my voice, and I will guide you through the exercises that we have set up, queued up for that particular workout. Now, I will tell you this in my very last thought: every year at this time of the year, I do a workout called the 12 Days of Fitness. Last year, you can go back to last December if you want to look at or listen to the podcast for last year's 12 Days of Fitness. I have almost finished 12 Days of Fitness for 2019, and I'm going to record that next week. So if you are looking for another new session, this is an exercise regimen that starts with a partridge in a pear tree. It's equivalent in a single move, and then we go to something for 2 and then 1, and we go 3, 2, 1, then we go 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's a reverse ordered ladder that ends with the 12th day, whatever we're doing 12 times, and then all the way down the line back to the very first thing. It takes a little bit longer, but it's super fun. And I know that last year was 5 perfect push-ups. This year is 5 plie squats. So I'm giving you a little bit of a flavor for some of the things. We have 3 lunge leaps, and I'll leave the rest to your imagination for the time being. But that will be a recording next Monday on the 15th of December. Since it's getting close, I don't want to do it over the weekend. But the 12th, I think the 12 days of Christmas, I don't even remember what it is. Why do we have a 12 days of Christmas? Even in the culture of Christmas, I'm not sure. But we're doing 12 days of fitness next Monday. And I'm Coach Kim from In Shape Fitness. Thank you so much for listening today. And let me know if you have any questions or thoughts. It's, as I said, the end of the year, we have lots of questions. We always have lots of questions about how best to take care of our bodies during the stressful times of the year and leading into the insanely Mach speed January launch of New Year's resolutions and how to be ready for 2020. So let me know if you have any interest in bringing me into your company, or if you need a trainer, you can get in touch with our team at bodybyInshape.com as well. Okay, have a great day.